how would you explain how meditation and movement work in harmony together, the value of exploring a meditative state through movement, as long as you're physically capable, and then also moving beyond movement at a certain point in the progress of this path? Can you travel through your body through the channels that you find without physically moving?
Okay. First, you look at the frequencies of your body. You travel through the frequency of your body, and you become aware of the textures of those particular frequencies. You begin to evolve through your body in terms of the texture of frequency. Now, as far as spirituality is concerned, and believing in a higher force, this higher force will be reflected in your state of consciousness in terms of receiving another human being and being kind to another human being. And then, if you're not kind, then this is a process of learning how to release certain emotions. So you virtually have to go through the physical form in terms of discovering certain frequencies before you go into meditative states. Because the meditative states, when you're doing low band pi, obviously it changes your state of consciousness, and then you start to go through the varying frequencies through relaxation through the fascial net, and also activating the lower dantian through this fascial net, dropping and releasing and rising, heavenly force and earthly force becoming available. So we have to traverse the physical body first, because the physical body can go into meditative states more readily than somebody sitting down in meditation, because sitting down in meditation is an absolute stillness, but can you define the different frequencies which you're meant to contact before you go into meditation? So to find the subtle frequencies within movement are the preparations towards a deeper consciousness. So discovering that being still is complemented through movement. So then they go through different movements to discover different phases of consciousness, and then you go into meditation to reinforce those different frequencies which you're evolving into. So it's so to open up the system of nadis, or power systems inside of your body, is to discover particular elements of frequency, and then you go into a deeper state of meditation, or even if your mind just can expand into a freedom capacity, because your body's not locking it into the framework of your physical form. Do you understand? So the expansion of consciousness in terms of the mind being free of the body, the first thing you have to do is free the mind from the body, so the body can allow the mind to be voluminous. So you have to go through the body first. As you go through the body and free the mechanisms of entrapment in terms of entanglement, then your mind is truly free to be universal mind. The universal mind can't be obtained when the universal mind is locked in an internal dialogue, and locked in an emotional internal dialogue as well. So you don't do those sorts of things to free the physical format so that your mind can become universal. The universal mind is really the last stage. You have to go through physical release before you can find the universal mind, and then you go through the tangible elements of the very, very subtle frequencies, because you've educated your body about the subtle frequencies that are occurring within your physical form, and then your mind will witness what's occurring in terms of freeing your body. And as you free your body, you free your mind. But you have to go through your body first, and then destroy the internal dialogue, so that it can actually be free to move into its next state of awareness. So this is just like dying. Mm-hmm. When you die, that's what happened. Your physical body goes to the ground, your etheric body then rises, and then you go into the universal mind. But how can you go into the universal mind if you haven't freed your body? Then when you go into Bardo, then you're confronted with what you didn't deal with in your physical body in terms of resistance, and also the capacity of your heart condition to follow you into Bardo, or to follow you into the death process, to assign your Bardo to the reflection of what you haven't dealt with. So then Bardo comes at you like a rush, and it comes at you very, very strong to hit those undefined areas of evolution to show you that you haven't evolved, and then test you. So we do the test in life, like life and death is tested while we're living, through the process of sleeping and waking up and going into areas of divine consciousness, and traverse this to free our physical body so that our universal mind can be released from the entrapments, so that we can, when we go into death, and the release is much more simplified. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's much more simplified. And we have to have this power of discernment before we leave. Universal mind is being mindful, is not being mindful. Being mindful is being universally aware of the limited condition that you've been placed in, and then grow into that universal perspective. And this first, the heart has to open up to realize there's a universal cosmic force going between humanity as solidifying our reality into three-dimensional units of information that have nothing to do with universal mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a very, very important subject for me, but first the subject matter of the physical form has to be released first. And then you go into a heart awareness, and you grow into this heart awareness in terms of communion, because this heart awareness is what the neurotransmitters of the malformed application of your life will be revealed through the 46,000 neurotransmitters in your heart. That's what will take with you, because the clarity of your mind, of your universal mind, hasn't been beckoned or called upon the altar of your perception to be examined. This is very, very important in terms of why I'm teaching Love Empire, why that I want everyone to be free to actually experience this, because you're